Okay, great. All right, thank you. So again, hi, my name's Michelle, and welcome to The Real Deal on how to find your McDreamy job. I'm so excited to have you here with me tonight. If you haven't already, then just go ahead and download your workbook directly from the GoToWebinar control panel. The other way that you can get that, of course, is to check the email reminders that you've received from Superstar Careers, but the really fast and easy way to do it right now is just go ahead into that control panel. You'll see that PDF that's a workbook, and you can just go ahead and download that and use that to take notes as we go through. As you look at that workbook, the first thing that you're going to see, the first main section there, says ahas and action items. And we'll talk about that more in just a little bit. So just want to go over a few housekeeping rules with you. We have you all on mute tonight. So please just go ahead, if you have questions, go ahead and type those into the chat box. And I'll try and address your questions as we go through. But if I'm not able to respond to the question that you type in that moment, then I promise you that we will have a Q&A at the end, and you can ask me any question that you'd like. Sound fair? All right. Going back to that first main section of the workbook that you've downloaded, and going back to those ahas and action items, just an aha is any new idea or, that spurs you into action, right? Or it could be something that you knew a while ago but maybe forgot, and so you're just getting refreshed on that idea. Whatever those whatever those ahas are, just go ahead and capture those in your workbook or, in your notebook, however you choose to take notes tonight. And then at the end of our session, I'm going to ask you to share your, at least one key aha item with the group. A, that helps me know what content has resonated the most with you. But B, if you're so busy, taking down notes and action items as we go through this together, you might miss something important. And so having this recap of aha moments at the end of our time together will just help other superstars benefit from the note that you took and that you remembered. So thanks in advance for your cooperation there. We'll also have a Q&A session like we talked about at the end. Okay, so you're in the right place tonight if you're a superstar, or if you have an inner superstar and you have high superstar potential. And you're definitely in the right place if you're ready to share your special gifts and talents with an organization that appreciates you in all that you have to offer. And this is the right place for you if you're open to new ideas and to paradigm shifts. And if you're ready for a fulfilling career where you can be even more successful, then this is the webinar for you. And most importantly, this is the best place for you if you're someone who's going to take action. I know a lot of people say that knowledge is power. I actually don't agree with that. I think it's when you take the knowledge and you apply it and you put it into action right away, that's when you're really going to see things change for you. That's when you really experience that transformation. So for anyone that I haven't met yet, nice to meet you. My name's Michelle Braun, and my company is called Superstar Careers. And here's a little bit about me and why you may want to listen to me as far as your career goes. I've spent 18 years in HR at Fortune 100 companies, mostly in the learning and leadership development space, but I've also done some time in the recruiting space as well, redesigning career sites and implementing applicant tracking systems, or ATS. That really convoluted software that that companies use to weed out job seekers. That was me, and I'm sorry about that. I've also spent some time as a hiring manager. I've been lucky enough to build out large teams, so I can give you the perspective of a hiring manager as well. And I'm a bit of a resume dork, and I love yoga, so you may hear me give a few woo-woo references now and then. And basically, I'm on a mission to get everyone in the right role for them. So everyone should be in a role that's aligned with their purpose, because I don't know if you've noticed, if you're miserable at work, that misery spills over into other areas of your life. And if you're happy at work and joyful, we spend so much time there that that joy spills over into other areas of your life as well. So here's a little bit about my career path. When I work with people, a lot of times they're not comfortable tooting their own horn. They don't know how to put together the marketing collateral that makes them look like the superstar that they really are. And so I'm showing you here that my career path started in marketing and public relations, right? So early in my career, I worked at a marketing and PR agency, and I have continued working in marketing and PR throughout my career, especially when I worked at Bank of America and I owned the About Bank of America website, which is the 17th most visited domain in all of cyberspace. And because of that, I'm here to tell you that I'm really good at singing your praises and, more importantly, helping you tell your professional story in a way that shows how awesome you are without coming across as too braggadocious. Now, on this screen, my career path looks linear, and it looks like everything was in a smooth, straight line. But that wasn't really the case. I spent my 20s spinning around in circles, trying to figure out what on earth I wanted to be when I grew up. Type yes into the chat box if you can relate to that at all. So I moved from the marketing agency in Detroit, my hometown, to Japan, where I started teaching English as a second language. And when I returned to the States, I was so lit up by my overseas experiences, I knew that I wanted to continue to teach adults. And I moved around from this teaching job to that training job until I got to Ford Motor Company. And then I started teaching senior leaders. And that was a huge turning point for me. I learned how business leaders think and the corporate strategies that they use and the tactics that support those strategies. And because I'm one of those people who, when I find a good thing, I've got to share it, I came back and shared what I learned with my colleagues and my tribe. I didn't think it was fair that all of this information was only given to senior leaders, and I'm all about social justice and leveling the playing field. And I've pulled that thread consistently throughout the fabric of my career in corporate America and also as an entrepreneur and career coach. So I'll tell you a little bit about my company. I have founded Superstar Careers with the focus on helping you fall back in love with your career. So I help ambitious mid-career professionals position themselves to have love affairs with their careers through career coaching and career management training, like what I'm offering you tonight, and resume and LinkedIn profile creation. And then on the organizational side, I help companies maximize their potential and improve the bottom line through designing and or delivering management and leadership training that ignites leadership excellence. But enough about me. I'd like to get to know you a little bit better. So if you can just tell me by typing into the chat box, what type of position are you looking for right now? Okay, so we've got learning, training, project management, yep, got it. Okay, so we've got a variety of different roles here. And here's my next question for you, which is how long have you been looking? Okay, so a year, a few months, okay, 6 months, Okay, I know there's a bit of a delay with the typing, so I'm just going to keep moving and you guys just keep typing your answers into the chat box there. Okay, next question for you is how much time do you spend every day on your job search? So just type your answer into the chat box. I'll take a sip of water while you do that. Okay, 30 minutes. Oh, 5 hours. Okay. Okay, an hour. Okay, 2.5. Okay. All right. So again, a lot of variety there. And keep in mind, they say that looking for a job is a full-time job in and of itself. So if you're right now only spending 30 minutes a day on that, I'm going to invite you to just kick that up and let's see if we can be really focused and strategic in how we spend our time there. And what methods have you been using to find your next role? Just type your answers into the chat box. Okay, Monster, networking, good. LinkedIn, career builder, Okay. Okay, so again, we've got some variety there. All right. And my last question for you right now, although I will continue to ask you questions throughout our time together here, this definitely will be an interactive webinar. So my question here is, what's preventing you from landing your McDreamy job? Can't get a foot in the door. Yeah, I know. Okay, not connecting with the hiring manager. Okay, not knowing who to connect with. Yeah, that's tricky for sure. Okay, and I can see the sort of dots as you're typing, but I'll just keep going in the interest of time, and then we'll get back to that. All right. Oops, sorry, I went the wrong way there. Okay, so to increase your viewing pleasure and to make sure that you are getting the best ROI or return on investment from our webinar tonight, here are some tips to help you maximize this learning experience. First, hopefully you're in a quiet place so that you can focus, preferably with the door closed. And you may even need to tape a sign on the door saying, hey, keep out people, right? I'm learning now. And I'm going to encourage you to really focus, turn off your email and any other computer programs that you've got. Make sure that you've got your pen and paper to take notes, or your DigiPen if you take notes electronically. And I did mention I love yoga and sometimes I go woo-woo, so I'm just going to help you get really focused right now. So just sit really tall in your chair, close your eyes for a moment, take a nice deep breath in, and then just exhale and take a nice deep breath out. And hopefully that helps you feel a little more grounded and a little bit more centered. So what we're going to cover tonight is a few things. First, we'll talk about how companies prefer to fill their vacancies. And then you'll discover why your job search techniques aren't working as well as they could be. We'll discuss which job search strategies and approaches get the best results and are most effective. And we're going to talk about how to access the secret hidden job market, which is where 80% of the action is really happening. We'll go over some techniques to get the recruiter and or that hiring manager to actually call you back. and you'll learn how to jumpstart your job search. And I want to be completely transparent here. I have a special superstar-worthy offer for you towards the end of our time together today. So go ahead and type yes into the chat box if you value transparency and candor. So does that sound reasonable? That I deliver a ton of value for you in this free webinar in exchange for me taking a few minutes to tell you about my special superstar offer? Type yes if that sounds fair to you. Like we talked about earlier, you're going to get the answers to your burning questions. And feel free to type your questions as we go, or you can ask me at the end. Now I'm going to introduce you to our cast of characters for tonight. So there's 4 main people that we're going to zero in on. The first one's Henry, the hiring manager. And then after that, we've got Rachel, the recruiter. Then I'll introduce you to Darlene, the desperado job searcher, and Serena, the strategic job seeker. So here's Henry, the hiring manager. He is looking frazzled because he is 2 staff members short. And as a result, he's behind on his business goals. And basically, he just needs someone to make his work life easier. Because he's doing the work of 3 people. He's really concerned about missing his bonus because he's so frazzled and so far behind, and his spouse is not happy with him. She's upset at all the extra long hours that he's putting in at work and not spending time at home. And to sum it up, he's exhausted, he's frustrated, he's overwhelmed, and he is eager to hire someone to make his work life easier. Now here's Rachel, the recruiter, and she's an internal recruiter for the same firm that Henry works at, and she has a big workload. She's got 3 middle management openings that she's trying to source talent for, and she's got 45 individual contributor requisitions open at the same time too. And she's feeling a little challenged because she can't get time with the hiring managers to write a good job description. She's got limited budget to place those job descriptions and those recs in different places, and every day she is slammed with fruitless calls and countless emails from people that aren't really meaningful. She herself is understaffed, and she's concerned about missing out on her commission. And some recruiters earn a base salary only, but there's also a large segment of the population who earn a base salary and also earn a commission for when they place someone in the role. And also, when that person stays in the role for 6 months or a year, they can get another commission at that time as well. Now, Rachel has FOMO, and that fear of missing out causes her to wonder, should she go with the applicants in hand, or should she wait for the unicorn, that perfect applicant who'll turn into the perfect employee? And Rachel, just like Henry, needs someone to make her work life easier too. Now here's Darlene, the desperado job searcher. She's multi-passionate and multi-talented, so she is applying for all sorts of jobs. There's no consistency. She's applying for event planning, and she's also applying for project management and training and just so many different things that she's interested in. And so she's randomly applying to anything and everything that smells like it could be something that she might be able to do. And her main job search method involves relying on job boards like Monster.com or CareerBuilder, or job board aggregators like Indeed.com. And she's got bills piling up, and so that's making her anxious. In fact, it's even causing her to feel depressed. And she's wearing out her friends and family with her sighs and stories of woe is me, and nothing's working out, and nobody's hiring me. And her networking is not working. And I'll be honest, I've been Darlene the Desperado. Have you? You know, early on when I was job searching, I kept doing what my mom and my granddad told me to do to find a job, and it wasn't working. And I didn't really have a focus on a career. The language in my family was just go out and get a good job. Now, like I mentioned earlier, I'm from Detroit, Michigan, and that's a blue-collar community. And back in the day, you got a job with a good company, and that company would be loyal to you and take care of your financial needs until you retired. Nobody in my family talked about the reason that you're here on this earth, right, and how you can use your career to fulfill your purpose and serve in a bigger way. Their career advice was based on what they knew, which was look in the newspaper, get a job, and you're set for life. Well, job searching has changed significantly since then, and even more dramatically since the great financial crisis happened in 2008. Type yes if you've noticed any of the changes in job searching. And actually, let's take this to the next level. Just type in the chat box and tell me some of the changes that you've noticed. Whoops, sorry. I clicked too quickly there. Oh, sorry about that. Hold on 1 second. Okay, so you don't get responses. Yeah, I hear you. You keep applying. Yeah. Let me just maximize the screen again. Okay, yeah. Yeah, some other changes that you might have noticed is now it's a gig economy, meaning that employers are more inclined to hire contractors than full-time employees. So you have to have a portfolio career, right? You have to be able to pack up and pick yourself up and move around pretty quickly because companies aren't as loyal as they used to be. So you're expected to design your own career. And there's all this technology, this ATS technology that's designed to weed out job seekers, not necessarily to get you in. And sometimes when you send your resume and apply there, it just feels like your resume goes into a black hole because you don't get those responses. You know, they say that today you will change jobs at least 17 times in your career. So effective job searching is a skill that you will use over and over and over throughout your career. Okay, now I'm going to introduce you to Serena, the strategic job seeker. And she's a superstar. She's clear. She's crystal clear on her objective and the type of role she wants and the salary that the market will pay for her skill set. She's focused too. She has a list of her dream firms that can afford to pay her what she's worth. And she's very strategic and intentional about how she approaches job searching. She solves problems for the recruiters and the hiring managers she comes into contact with, whether they can help her immediately or not. And she's got savings. And I don't just mean financially. She's got savings and she's made great deposits into her network over the years, and she can really smartly leverage her network and ask them to help her as a result. She collaborates with her career coach, and she is optimizing her job search strategies. It was Einstein who said, you have to learn the rules of the game, and then you've got to play them better than anybody else. And that's exactly what Serena the Strategic does. So let me ask you another question. What's the purpose of a business? And this could be something that you write down the answer to this question in your workbook. So I'll just pause for a minute and give you a chance to do that. All right. The answer to this question could be a big aha for you. The purpose of a business is to make money. That's it, plain and simple. A company isn't a foundation, which is designed to give money away, and it's not a hospital whose focus is healing people. The purpose of a business is to be profitable and to make money, and there are only two ways that you can do that. You can either increase revenues and bring in more money, or you can reduce costs so that the company isn't spending as much. And by the way, if you're in a job where you can't see the connection between what you're doing every day and one of these two things, then you're in a dangerous place, my friend. You're expendable because you're not demonstrating tangible value to the company. Your goal during the job hunting process is to show the company how you can do at least one of these two things so it can achieve its goal of making money. And for you to stand out from the crowd, it's critical that your resume illustrates how you can help your next employer achieve its goal. I promised you we'd talk about how companies prefer to fill their vacancies. And this is a pyramid that I created, which was inspired by a pyramid that I saw in this fantastic book called What Color is Your Parachute? And if you haven't gotten this book yet, I highly recommend it. He updates it every year too. It's very modern, very research-based. So if you're going to get the one for this year, make sure you're getting the 2017 version. All right, so back to this pyramid. It shows from top to bottom how companies prefer to fill their open positions. So we start with from within, we go to using proof, we'll talk about best friends and colleagues, then it moves to trusted agencies, and then ads and resumes. And we're going to go into more details on each of those in the following slides. So we'll start with from within. So what does that really mean? Okay, it could be anything that you see on this slide. It could be that a full-time employee has gotten promoted, so a full-time employee at an existing organization has earned their promotion. Or it could be that a part-time employee then became a full-time employee or got promoted. It could be that there's a contractor or a permanent hire or a former consultant, a contractor or a former consultant who was brought on as a permanent hire. Or the same could happen for a temporary employee, or that company could hire an intern, right? So they had an intern in their intern program, in their rotational program, and then they made them an offer and brought them in full time. So another way of saying all of this is that it's internal networking. Networking has an 80% success rate when you're job searching. So what are the rewards of hiring from within? Why would a company want to do that? Well, there's a lot of reasons. One, you're a known quantity. If you're already working at that firm, they know who you are, they know how you work, and it's very easy for them to decide whether they want to continue working with you in a different way, because they can see your performance. They can see whether you're being excellent. Another advantage is that the manager knows if they like the person or not. And if the person isn't already reporting to that hiring manager, that manager can check with his or her colleagues and say, hey, how is so-and-so doing at work? Would they be a great fit for my team? Other advantages of hiring from within are that the employee knows the culture already, so they don't have quite the ramp up and the learning curve. They've already got all the system access. It's kind of a big deal, I don't know why, but it always seems to be a big deal for companies to get new employees set up with the right technology. And because you're already there, there's no recruiting costs. They're not spending money on recruiters or job ads. So those are the rewards and the benefits of hiring from within. Now we'll focus on what are the risks of hiring from within. And if you only hire from within, if you're just working with an insular candidate pool, you don't get fresh perspectives and you don't get the benefit of the diversity of thought and new ideas that comes from bringing in people from the outside. And so as a result of that, the organization could be missing out on best practices and lessons learned. So two sides of the coin there. But it's all about you, so what are the implications for you as a job seeker? Well, really explore those internal opportunities. Maybe the full-time thing isn't quite available right now, but maybe you can get hired as a temp or a contractor or a consultant. Or maybe you start at your dream company working part-time, or go for that internships. And there are interns for students, but there are also internships for adults as well. And this last bullet should go without saying, but I'm going to say it: be an exceptional superstar at work. Make sure that you're demonstrating excellence and a positive attitude in all that you do, because people prefer to do business with and hire people that they know, like, trust, and remember favorably. Moving on to using proof. So that means that you hire, or an employer can hire somebody that they don't know who brings evidence of their skills and capabilities. And I picked this image intentionally because each person has a portfolio with them. Although these days you may want to have an electronic portfolio in addition to that hard copy portfolio. And you can include a link to your e-portfolio on your resume, and then that way employers have a chance to preview the quality of your work product. So why would a company want to use proof? Well, it's evidence, it's data-based, and it helps them avoid people who are only talking a good game but can't actually do anything. So it leads to a more fact-based hiring decision. But of course, there can be risks with that too, because it might not be their work. So the implications for you as a job seeker are to create your portfolio. And that can be that hard copy portfolio, or these days it's becoming more prevalent to create that e-portfolio. And if you don't have an e-portfolio, it's really easy to create one using a free tool like WordPress. The other implication for you is that you may need to demonstrate your skills and build a portfolio outside of work. Maybe you're trapped in a job and you're slotted into a particular position where you have, skill sets, A, B, and C, but you really want to develop skill sets, X, Y, and Z. And you may need to do that after hours. So strategic volunteering is a great way for you to go to an organization and say, hey, I'd really like to help you achieve your goals, and I'd like to develop these skills. And, it's a nice win-win situation there. So I have a blog post that's called Caramelize Your Way into a New Job. Strategic Volunteering Gets You the Position You Want. And the link to that is here on the screen, but that could be a little hard to find. So you don't have to worry about that right now. What I'll do is email that to you later after this webinar. And that way you've got the link and you can check out this article. The other thing I'll do is add you as a VIP to my newsletter, True North, and then that way you'll get to know about other webinars that I have coming up and receive other career management tips and tricks each week too. And so when I add you later tonight, you'll get one a day for the next 3 days, and then you'll fall into the normal cycle of receiving updates about once a week. And if that's not your flavor, hey, no worries. You can unsubscribe at any time by clicking the link at the bottom of the email. Sound fair? Okay, good. So now let's focus on the best friend or the colleague. So this is when a hiring manager hires a referral from their trusted friend or a business colleague that they respect and admire. And one of the pluses of this is that they get a recommendation from someone who's seen that employee's work. So it could be the employee's former manager, or it could be, their colleague. It could be a variety of people. So why would a hiring manager want to do this? What's the benefit to them of using a recommendation from a best friend or a colleague? Well, the first thing is the trust factor. So you trust your best friend, right? And if your best friend, gives you a recommendation, you're probably inclined to follow them. whether that's a movie recommendation or a restaurant recommendation or a car recommendation or which employee should I hire recommendation. And the other advantage is when you use that referral from your best friend over your colleague, they've seen that employee's work performance already, and they know if you're going to get along. So it's a higher quality reference. And another bonus, there's no recruiting costs with that. Now, there can be some risk with this approach for sure, and let's talk through those. You and your best friend, right, or the hiring manager and their best friend may have different standards. You know, sometimes you've got a best friend or a colleague who's just like you, or sometimes you've got someone who's completely different from you with different standards and expectations. Or sometimes your friend may not know your corporate culture. So they may know your personality, but they may not know that, you know, it's a really, I don't know, rapidly moving, dynamic, fast-paced environment that, you know, may not work for the employee that they're getting ready to refer. Or sometimes your friend may not know who you are at work. Sometimes people get stuck in jobs where they can't authentically be themselves. And so that friend could recommend someone who'd get along great with the hiring manager outside of work, but who could actually get on your last nerve inside that particular corporate culture. So what are the implications for you as a job seeker? Well, it goes back to that strategic networking. You want to find someone who knows the hiring manager and knows you and who can make that connection. Again, networking has an 80% success rate when you're job searching. Now, if the company isn't having success with those first few methods that we talked about, then they'll move to their trusted agency. And basically what I'm saying here is that the company could outsource their recruiting efforts to one of the three types of agencies that you see listed on the screen here. So let me explain the differences that among them. So when I'm talking about a recruiting firm, I'm talking about someone who is sourcing really senior roles. Think executive level and C-suite. And then we've got staffing agencies, and they're more middle management focused and mid-career focused. And then finally, we also have employment agencies, meaning a temporary agency. So a lot of times Kelly Services comes to mind when you think about an employment agency. So why would an employer do that? What's the benefit to them for hiring a trusted agency? Well, kind of like we talked about before, there's a trust factor. If the agency has found great employees for that firm previously, then the chances are pretty good that they'll do it again. And the employer and the hiring manager have already experienced that agency's performance. They've already got that relationship built up, and they know what to expect. And another pro here is that agencies have hiring expertise. Sometimes you get new hiring managers or people who don't have to hire that frequently, and they're not really that skilled at being able to hire. They don't necessarily know how to write a great job description, or they don't necessarily know how to conduct an effective interview. So when you hand it over to a pool of recruiters, that's their field of expertise. They know how to find talent and how to hire talent. Another benefit here is that they vet the candidates on behalf of the hiring manager. So that saves time, frees up time for their hiring manager and for that internal recruiter. Remember, we talked about that recruiter earlier who was feeling overwhelmed. And also, an agency tends to have a talent pool already. So whereas a hiring manager could be starting from scratch and have no idea how to find the talent that they're looking for, staffing agencies tend to have that pool of candidates and talent. Now, there are some risks with hiring agencies, and one of them is the high turnover. And I mean among the recruiters themselves, right? So I don't know if you've noticed this, but since that great financial crisis happened, a lot of firms have changed their hiring strategy, and they hire contractors now more than they ever did. They hire contractors sometimes more than they hire full-time employees because on paper it's a lot less expensive for them. Now, one of the consequences of that is that more staffing agencies have cropped up. And it's really competitive. It's a competitive field. So you may have noticed that some recruiters are moving from one agency to the next and the next pretty quickly. So type yes into the question box or the chat box if you've noticed that, right? So I recommend that you stay connected to your recruiting contacts on LinkedIn because they'll always keep their contact information up to date there. If you just rely on the email address that you have for them personally, that could change and get out of date pretty quickly. Now, some agencies consistently find good talent, but sometimes they don't. And that can be influenced by many things, including the state of the economy, which is much better than it used to be. Nationally right now, we're at about a 4.6% unemployment rate, which means that it's a great time to job search. One more point here. It can be pretty expensive for a firm to hire a staffing agency, especially for some of those senior roles. I know some recruiters who make $20,000 or so commission when they fill those positions. So keep in mind the economic factors as well. So what's the implication for you as a job seeker? Well, find out who your dream company's preferred agencies are and get associated with them. Moving further down the pyramid, we're going to talk about ads now. And by ads, I mean online ads in addition to newspapers. So why would a company place an ad? What's in it for them? Well, it's another avenue, right? And it's a source, it tends to be a good source actually, of entry-level talent. So think back to when you first got out of college. You may have gone straight to one of those online job boards, right, like monster.com, and seen an ad there. And you applied for jobs there and you probably did okay. But when you're more seasoned and more experienced, if you're still applying for jobs there, you'll probably notice that it's generally not as fruitful. So type yes into the chat box if you've noticed that pattern. All right, so we talked about it's another avenue for employers. It's a good source of entry-level talent for them. And there's also the squirrel effect, which means that even a blind squirrel catches a nut eventually. But there are risks of just depending on ads. Some of the risks are that you get lots of unqualified people applying. Remember Darlene the Desperado that we talked about earlier. And ads are expensive. You know, if you're, as an employer, if you've reached the point where you have to place an ad, you probably need to place them in multiple places, and they're not cheap. And as we've talked about earlier, they're not as targeted. In fact, this method has only a 4% success rate. So if you're depending on things like CareerBuilder or Monster.com for your job search, your chances are pretty low. Not saying that it can't happen, I'm just saying that you probably shouldn't rely on this exclusively. And this is a hard one because if you're working full-time already, you come home from work and you're tired and you want to take action on, getting into that next thing, and you're like, well, I've got this computer, right? I'll just apply online, and it feels like you're doing something. And you're doing something, but it might not be the most strategic move for you. So don't let it be the only tool in your toolkit. And then getting to the bottom of the pyramid is the resume. And it's a written summary of a job seeker and their employment history. So what are the benefits to an employer of using a resume? Well, it summarizes a person's skills and abilities and accomplishments, and all of that information is in one place. But on the flip side, some of the risks are most resumes are poorly written. They don't really do you justice as a job seeker because most people do what most people do, which is describe duties. And badly written resumes are not necessarily the best indicator of your future performance. The other thing here is that if a company is relying on resumes, they've got to invest a lot of time and energy into interviewing a lot of different candidates to assess their potential. So what does this mean to you? You want to make sure that your resume is well designed and easy to read, because you will be asked for your resume at every stage of the job search process. And make sure that it reflects your accomplishments, not just your duties, and that it showcases your capabilities and your potential, and basically your superstarness, so that you stand out from the crowd. On average, I think it's the ERE, the Electronic Recruiting Exchange, they say that for every corporate position that's posted, there are an average of 250 people who apply for that. By the way, this resume thing, this is where Darlene lives. Darlene, the desperado, is using what we call the spray and pray method. And that's where you take your resume and you spray it all over those job boards and career sites and any place that has an open position, and then you pray that somebody looks at it and brings you in for an interview. So type yes into the chat box if you can relate to Darlene's spray and pray method. Now, this slide could be a big aha for you, so you may want to write this down in your workbook. This was a huge aha for me when I first saw it. Most job seekers approach job searching in the exact opposite way that employers prefer to hunt for talent. Most job seekers are focused on their resumes and applying to ads. And so let me ask you a question and just type your answer into the chat box. Where in this pyramid are you spending most of your time? Yep, exactly. And here's my follow-up question to that. You know where you're spending most of your time. Are you getting the results that you want? So the very definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting a different result. So keep that in mind. It may be time to shake things up a little bit. So I promised you that we talk about how to get the recruiter and hiring manager to call you back. So I've got a few tips from there. First is know their firm and know their niche, meaning know the business of your dream company, their vision, their strategies, and how you can help them prosper. And if you're going to target recruiters, understand their roles, their niche, meaning their specialties, and the problems they're trying to solve, which is to find the right employee for their clients. And if you can't help them with that, you might not be their highest priority in this moment. I've had a lot of people tell me that they get really frustrated when they decide to start looking for a new job. Then they reach out to recruiters and they don't hear back. Well, first, recruiters don't really work for you. They work for the firm. And secondly, different recruiting agencies and staffing firms have different focuses. Some excel in placing trainers, some specialize in working with creatives. So basically, you've got to understand where their expertise is, and so you can see if it's a good fit for you to work with that particular recruiter or that agency. And so to help with that, I've created a list for you of some professions and some of the top recruiting agencies associated with that field. And while I partner with people in many different professions, my sweet spots are in HR, sales and marketing, project management, training and instructional design, communications and PR, and financial services. I also especially love working with global-minded do-gooders who love to travel and want to use their influence to make the world a better place. So you're going to see those sweet spots and those professions reflected in the next few slides. So on the training front, here are some great agencies for you to consider. So Artisan, the Training Associates, Training Folks, Learning Gurus, Bullhorn, and I just found a new one, ViaSource, which is an excellent one as well. If you're in HR, here's some great agencies for you to consider partnering with. Select Staffing, Aerotech, Pervinio, and Talent Bridge. And Talent Bridge, by the way, is focused here in Charlotte. For creatives, right, here's a great list. And by creatives, I'm talking about graphic designers, marketing communications, right? So all the things, all of these creative type positions. So Artisan, the Boss Group, the Creative Group, which is a subsidiary of Robert Half, right, and Talent Bridge again. If you're into technology or project management, Robert Half is a phenomenal agency to work with. NTT is another good one, as is Snelling. If you love working in the financial services space, then Insight Global is a good one, Pride Staff, or Manpower Group. For my superstars who are focused in the nonprofit space, Coleman Liu and TruePath are good agencies. I've been working with some superstars who are interested in management consulting. Charles Aris is who I'm hearing great things about. And for those of you who are more globally minded, Chase Executive International is great. They do a lot in financial services as well. The next way to get the recruiter or hiring manager to call you back is to solve their problem. So keep in mind that you want to make their work life easier. And this first one is so basic, but it is a thing right now. And that is answer the phone when they call you. I've had a lot of recruiters tell me that they, they call people. They try and reach out and have a connection or do a phone interview first, and people don't answer their phone anymore. So if the phone is ringing, pick it up and answer. And be a compelling communicator. Like we talk about in my Enticing Elevator Speeches course, you should be able to explain who you are, how you serve, and what your goals are in 15 seconds or less. So you should be able to use your enticing elevator speech to describe who you are. It's like a verbal commercial. You want to be focused, and you want to show how you can solve their issues, which is give referrals that can help them with their open requisitions. And that referral could be you, like, hey, I'm recommending myself for the role, or it could be somebody else that you know is a good fit. Because what goes around comes around, right? And there's karma. If you scratch somebody's back, they're going to want to scratch yours in return. Another way to get people to call you back is to say something meaningful. When I first started Superstar Careers, I reached out to all my recruiting buddies, not butters, but buddies, and I asked them, hey, what do you wish job seekers knew? What advice do you have for them? And they said, stop calling and emailing and saying, hey, did you get my resume? They get, 50 or 60 calls a day where people just say, hey, I'm calling to see if you got my resume. They said, trust that the technology works, right? Like, that's not the issue. They said, if you call, though, and say something meaningful and different. So you could say something like, hey, I'm following up on the resume I sent for XYZ position, and here are 3 more reasons that I'd make a great candidate. That sparks their interest. That's a little bit different, and that makes their job easier. And the last tip here is to be politely persistent. You may need to keep calling. You may even need to switch up how you're communicating with that recruiter and the hiring manager. So if one channel isn't working, then do something different. So I think a good formula is, you could do 3 emails and 2 phone calls. And if you don't hear something back after that, then the chances are pretty good that you're not going to. But at least you've shaken it up and you've really expressed interest there. Because the single biggest problem with communication is the illusion that it's taken place. I've heard so many people say, oh, I left a voicemail and I never heard back, and they just give up. If it's your dream position, if it's your dream job, right, you've got to be persistent. So, another question for you is, why are you here today? On some level, you've invested your time and your energy to be here today because you're ready to change your circumstances and elevate your career. So type yes into the chat box if any of this resonates with you. You love to learn, and you're hungry for something challenging where you can learn and grow and unlock your potential. You do great work, and you want to be recognized for your contributions, financially and otherwise. And you want to work at a firm that's fun and flexible and where you're respected. You want to wake up excited to go to work and leave at the end of the day with a sense of accomplishment. If any of that resonates with you, then I've got another question, which is, how much of your life have you wasted in the wrong job? Now, I want to make sure I'm talking to the right people here, so I'm going to ask you some more questions. Does any of this sound like you? It's Sunday night, and your weekend joy is fading away, and the anxiety knot in your stomach is tightening and growing because you're dreading the nightmare that is your upcoming work week. Or it's Monday morning, and you wake up with the sad intention to go to work. It's depressing because you know you're going to have to play small to appease your manager, who's not as forward-thinking as you are. Your uninspiring manager doesn't appreciate your unique gifts and talents. Or maybe you adore your profession, but you're stuck working in a strange, toxic organization where everyone's pushed to the limit, highly stressed, and not kind or patient. Or maybe you've got so little work-life balance that your only personal time is your road rage-filled commute. And you're missing out on creating magical memories with your friends and family because they don't want to spend time with your grumpy self. Or you're sacrificing your health and well-being because your mind's constantly racing and filled with that corporate chaos. Or you're just as talented, if not more so, than your coworkers, but they're getting promoted and you're getting overlooked again. Or you're bored. You've been doing the same things with the same colleagues for years, and you're over it. Or you don't know how to position yourself for a better opportunity. What's worse, you're kind of comfortable in the craziness. That joyless job funds the lavish vacations and spa dates that you desperately need to recharge. You're well paid, and you don't want to have to become an impoverished yoga teacher to feel fulfilled. If any of that rings true for you, then you're invited to join my Superstar Recareer Revolution. It's a 4-week boot camp that helps you jumpstart your job search and fall back in love with your career so that you can bound out of bed excited to get to work and rediscover your purpose and reignite your passion. And choose a lucrative McDreamy position where you're learning and growing and being challenged in a good way. And you feel more balanced and achieve your personal goals along with your corporate ambitions. And you work in a healthy environment that nourishes your soul. You don't have to take my word for it. Take theirs. So here's a testimonial from Rick Johnson, one of my clients in San Francisco. And he says, since meeting with Michelle, I've been able to accomplish goals that seemed unattainable. Or Valerie, right here in Charlotte, says, Michelle's an excellent career coach. Since I began working with her in an effort to advance my career, I've seen an increase in my professional network and career opportunity callbacks. Michelle provides invaluable resources and tips in the area of resume writing, network building, and interviewing. So now I want to share an aha moment with you. I realized a long time ago that job searching and career building is about marketing. And like I mentioned earlier, I have lots of experience building brands for organizations and for people. As I've been working with my superstar career coaching clients, I've evolved my offerings. I tend to work with people who earn six figures. And there's a formula in HR that says when you're job searching, it takes 1 month for every $10,000 of salary that you're trying to earn. So if your goal is to earn a $120,000 position, according to that formula, it would take 12 months of strategic, intentional, and consistent job searching. Well, we're an instant grat society. We tend to want results right now. And there are a lot of people who don't want to wait a year for, well, anything. It's kind of like fitness. As I was figuring out my fitness frustrations, I realized that there were two ends to my spectrum. I decided I'm going to get really fit. I'd set an ambitious goal like I'm going to run the Disney Marathon. And then I'd learn what all is involved in achieving that goal and how long it would take, and it seemed too far away and unattainable. 1 year to prepare for a marathon? I can watch a Disney movie on Netflix right now and feel good, at least for the short term. Or, at the other end of the spectrum, I decide to get in shape, get off the couch, and exercise a couple of times a week for a month and be frustrated that it was still hard to button my pants. So I'd quit because clearly exercise wasn't working. The truth is, sporadic exercise doesn't work. Heck, sporadic anything doesn't work. Random efforts yield random results. So then I tried a fitness boot camp for a month. I can do anything for a month. I'd go to boot camp and our coach would help me be focused and consistent. Not only would she hold me accountable for showing up and doing the work, my fellow boot camp teammates would celebrate my successes with me and provide additional encouragement and accountability. And this approach got me re-energized about my fitness quest. And I've already told you, when I find a good thing, I like to share it. So I started doing 4-week sprints with my superstar career coaching clients. And it worked. They get more consistent and they'd start to see results faster. Here's what another superstar client had to say about our 4-week sprint. Now I won't read the entire thing from Holly, but basically she was able to get into a different position and got a more than 15% increase in her salary just by working together for this brief time together. So let me tell you a little about the structure of the program. During this focused 4 weeks, we'll cover the 5 phases of attracting your McDreamy job. Oops, sorry, I went backwards there. So here's those 5 phases. Number 1 is product knowledge. So in phase 1, we cover who are you really? And in marketing speak, you are the product that we're trying to sell. So in this phase, we use some amazing assessments to understand who and where you've been, who and where you are right now, what your purpose is, and where you're going next. In phase 2, we focus on where is your dream job. Now that we're clear on your unique gifts and capabilities and how you're meant to serve, we figure out which organizations are worthy of your special talents. Phase 3 is building a brand called you. I've got a lot of great tools to help you understand your brand. And if it's not what you want it to be, Develop a different brand that's more aligned with the future that you're creating for yourself and for your family. Phase 4 is all about your marketing materials. So we take things to the next level by infusing your beautiful brand into all of your marketing materials, meaning your enticing elevator speech, your resume, your LinkedIn profile, because LinkedIn is the first place that recruiters and hiring managers go to find talent. And then phase 5 is about your brand ambassadors. So we pull all of this together into the most strategic networking plan ever. You'll start to shift from a push approach, which is where you're trying to push your way into a new organization, into a pull approach, where through the power of your brand ambassadors, firms are trying to solicit you and pull you into their organizations. Doesn't that sound refreshing? And like a delicious and nutritious smoothie packed with potent nutrients to re-energize and reinvigorate you? You can think of this bootcamp as the B12 shot you need to help you get laser focused and to jumpstart your job search. This picture always makes me smile. This is Chad, and he's another delighted Superstar career coaching client. And he says, Michelle is exceptional. As soon as we began Superstar career coaching, my professional game went to another level. Michelle and I began working together because I found myself in a situation where I had to get out of my current job. It was just too much. It was too much for me personally, professionally, and too much for my marriage. I always thought I was good at what I did, but I can't say that I was as confident as I should have been. She helped me unlock a side that I've always wanted to have, but was never able to tap into. Through our work, I've been able to make some challenging changes in my company that management has resisted for years. Michelle guided me through clear steps on how to negotiate and make critical changes on how to stand by them. Thanks to the work we did together, the changes I'd only dreamed of and hoped for have been executed, and it's never been more awesome. Her work literally saved my career, my position with my company, and my marriage. Thanks, Michelle. No, I'm not going to guarantee anything with your personal relationships, but I know that I can help you make a positive difference in your career. So let's talk about when this Superstar Re-Career Revolution is. So we start next Sunday, February 19th from 7 to 8:30. We take a break on February 26th because there's a lot of stuff in the first week that we've got to go through. And then we resume on March 5th, March 12th, and March 19th. And then there's another component to it. There's a course that I offer called Nice and Easy Networking. And when you're in the boot camp, you will tell me if you prefer to take this class in person or if you prefer to access it online. So that's why I've got a TBD there. Now you may be wondering, how much is your investment with this? And before I answer that question, let me ask you, how much is it worth to you to get unstuck and to step forward into a career that you're madly in love with? How valuable is it to receive a proven blueprint that stops you from spinning around in circles and gives you a clear direction and a roadmap to success? Hopefully that MasterCard ad is jumping into your head, priceless. But since quantifying things is helpful, here's the value in what I'm offering in the Superstar Re-Career Revolution. I normally charge $250 an hour for my Superstar career coaching, and 4 90-minute sessions total 6 hours, which is valued at $1,500. And then there's the training that's included to jumpstart your job search. You get access to my Resumes for a Richer Life Stand Out from the Crowd course, and the value of that is $97. You get to take my Nice and Easy Networking 101 course, which is also valued at $97. You get my Enticing Elevator Speeches course. Value of that is $47. And here's another word from another one of my clients. Words cannot express the gratitude that I have for Michelle Braun. After attending her Resumes for a Richer Life Stand Out from the Crowd class, I immediately began using the techniques to revise my resume. Within 2 months, I not only got the opportunity to interview, but received a job offer too. In addition to all of that, you'll receive some Superstar tools. So you'll get your career path compass, which helps you figure out your purpose and how you're meant to serve. And the value of that is $297. You also get the Ultimate Networking Kit, which is valued at $97. And this helps you be really strategic and intentional and proactive with your networking. And it also helps you evaluate the networking that you've been doing so that you can determine if it's a good return on investment. You also receive my e-guide, 33 Conversation Starters, and that helps you know what to say and sound really polished and compelling when you're introducing yourself in these networking opportunities. And you get done-for-you email scripts so that you can send them to hiring managers and recruiters to introduce yourself and to follow up during the job search. But wait, there's more. You'll also receive my personal superstar services. So you'll get a LinkedIn Rethink, and the value of that is $197. And that's where I analyze the strengths and the weaknesses of your LinkedIn profile and resume, and then you take that information and update your marketing collateral accordingly. You also get a resume rethink, which is similar, but now it's where I'm analyzing the strengths and weaknesses of your resume, and then you take that information and update it yourself. And you get access to my Superstar Pop-Up Facebook group. It's secret, it's private, and it's exclusive for people who are in the Re-Career Revolution. And what this means is you get extra support from me and other people who are in this 4-week boot camp. So the total value of your Superstar Re-Career Revolution Bootcamp, the semi-personal training that jumpstarts your job search, is $2,533. And here on this slide, you'll see everything broken out and totaled for you. But I won't charge you close to that. Heck, I'm not even asking you to invest half of that. I mentioned earlier that I have a bent towards social justice and leveling the playing field. I also remember what it was like early in my career when I was earning peanuts and couldn't always afford the things that I needed, let alone wanted. I know that not everybody has an extra $2,500 in their savings accounts. So today, I'm inviting you to join my Superstar Re-Career Revolution for just one payment of $497 or two payments of $297. That's an 80% discount. And if you join the revolution by Monday, February 13th at midnight, so by tomorrow at midnight, I'll sweeten the pot by including this additional Superstar service for you. Your resume revamp, I'll give that to you complimentary, and the value of that is $397. And that's where I do the heavy lifting for you. So I rewrite your resume. I make sure that it's SEO optimized, and I get it professionally formatted so that it's telling your professional story in a compelling way. So here's what to do next. If you're ready to jumpstart your job search and elevate your career, go to the URL below right now to sign up. And I'll also put that into the chat box as well for you, so you can just click the link directly. Hopefully that's coming through. If not, I will send you a note afterwards with that link. There you go. Hopefully it came through. I'm just going to do that one more time because I didn't quite see that. Okay. So you can go to this URL right now and sign up. And when you go there, you'll see a page that looks like this. There's a countdown at the top, and that countdown expires tomorrow. So that's when that extra fast action bonus of that resume revamp goes away. So you'll see this big orange button, and you can click that button and make your payment. And then you'll see the PayPal page, right? And so you'll see the PayPal buttons there, and you'll just input your credit card or debit card information, or you can pay from your PayPal account. And then when you see the thank you for the order, just be sure to click the link that says Return to Superstar Careers. And then you'll see this page right here as well. Then once you submitted your payment, you'll receive a welcome email with step-by-step guidance on what to do within hours. Now, if you're still not convinced, I'm so sure that the Superstar Recareer Revolution will increase your effectiveness and jumpstart your job search that I'm willing to give you a full 100% guarantee. So here's my money-back action guarantee. If you're not satisfied with the Superstar Recareer Revolution, you can have a full refund within 15 days. All I ask is that you follow the Superstar Recareer Revolution blueprint and show me your completed work. Show me the proof that you took all the actions in the blueprint and get a full 100% refund. You've got two choices. You can continue to be a Darlene the Desperado, or you can transform yourself into Serena the Strategic and jumpstart your job search. You deserve to love your career, so I hope you invest in yourself and do something right now that will make you a better future. So I invite you to stop playing small and start living large. The career of your dreams is just a click away. So just go to this URL and sign up right now. Now remember, here's your deadlines. The Fast Action Bonus deadline is tomorrow, Monday, February 13th at midnight. And you can still enroll after that. You have all the way until Friday to enroll, but you have to sign up today or no later than tomorrow at midnight to get that resume revamp included with it. So now I want to ask you, what were your aha moments? So just go ahead and type into the chat box and tell me your biggest takeaway from our webinar and our time together tonight. And while you're doing that and typing that in, I'm going to go ahead and take a sip of water. Excuse me. Okay, yes, the value of having a best friend or a colleague. Yeah, that's a really good approach, right? And that's why so much of the job market is hidden, because employers and hiring managers, you know, they know that they need a position. They ask around and say, hey, do you know anybody that would be awesome for this? And they do. And then they don't have to post that job. Okay, another aha. When following up by email, give them additional reasons for hiring you. Yes, you have to keep marketing and promoting yourself. Exactly. Another aha, that the job boards have a low success rate, like a low percentage success rate. Yeah, it's frustrating. I think I've read that more than 50%, it's either 50 or 60, I can't remember what. So let's be safe. Let's say more than 50% of the resumes that get submitted on those job boards never get seen by a human eye. Isn't that crazy? Okay, another aha. Oh, the number of months. Yeah, it can take a while if you're not strategic, right? If you're not intentional, if you don't have access to this information. So yeah. Okay. I promised you that I would answer any questions that you have too. So I want to, before I do that, just say thank you so much for investing your time and energy with me tonight and investing in your career and elevating your career. I really appreciate it. And I will stick around and answer any questions that you have. So just type them into the chat box, please. Oh, and it looks like there's another aha from Emma. It's your second time hearing about an e-portfolio in 1 week. Yeah, that's a thing now. It's definitely a thing. But like I was saying earlier, you can use WordPress and just create one pretty quickly and pretty easily. All right, team. So what questions can I answer for you? And it doesn't look like I'm getting any questions. We've got comments here from Eric. Oh, and Lakeisha. Oh, hey, Lakeisha, how are you? Okay, I'll stick around for a few more minutes, and if you have more questions, or if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. But it doesn't seem like many are coming in, so I'm just going to share my contact information with you. And just, if you have questions later, I don't know if you're anything like me, I tend to think of my best questions after I leave class. So feel free to reach out to me through any one of these methods, right? You can email me or call me, or, I spend a lot of time on LinkedIn, so you can reach me on my personal LinkedIn page or my Superstar Careers page, or on Facebook or on Twitter. So whichever way you prefer to communicate, just let me know. And then we can go from there. All right, so thanks again for your time, and I hope you have a fantastic week, Superstars. All right, take care, y'all. Good night.